Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. St. Peter's Basilica opens its doors to the general public for one last glimpse of Pope Francis before he is laid to rest in 3 days.
And the government kicks off a program in the Visayas that will sell rice at only 20 pesos per kilo. But for Vice President Sara Duterte, this initiative leaves a bad taste in the mouth, literally and figuratively.
And just 19 days to go before the midterm elections, and the COMELEC is keeping a close guard on candidates allegedly engaged in vote buying and hackers out to disrupt the elections.
A question on a lot of people's minds: how did the Pope spend his final hours? The Pontiff's personal nurse recounts the last moments of Francis in this report by mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
Cheers filled the air as Pope Francis greeted the crowd at St. Peter's Square last Easter Sunday. It was the first time he faced the public at length after more than a month in hospital for double pneumonia. Who would have thought this would be the last time he would be seen alive? What's certain now, the Pontiff chose to spend his last moments on earth with the people, the faithful of the church he served for decades. With the help of his personal nurse, Massimiliano Strappetti, Pope Francis mounted the Pope Mobile and surprised more than 50,000 Catholics at St. Peter's Square on April 20. He was visibly weaker, exhausted, and even asked his nurse, quote, "Do you think I can manage it?" He did. For about 15 minutes, Francis waved at crowds and blessed babies. According to Vatican News, Pope Francis later on spent the afternoon resting at Casa Santa Marta and had a peaceful dinner. Several hours later, at 5:30 in the morning of April 21st, Francis became ill as he laid in bed. According to Strappetti, the Pontiff's death had been quick and easy. He even thanked the nurse, waved his hand, and eventually lost consciousness and breathed his last. Pope Francis was declared dead at 7:35 in the morning of Easter Monday. His last words to his nurse: "Thank you for bringing me back to the square." Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Well, more than 20 world leaders have already confirmed their attendance at the funeral of Pope Francis on Saturday. Among them, our very own President Bongbong Marcos, who will be accompanied by First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos. U.S. President Donald Trump will also come with his First Lady Melania, despite friction with the Pope on America's strict immigration policy. Also expected are the leaders of the United Nations and the European Union. On the other hand, Russian President Vladimir Putin extended his sympathies, but also advised that he will not be able to attend the public viewing nor the funeral. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was among those who advised earlier that he will be attending the Pope's funeral.
Pope Francis's visit to the Philippines back in 2015 left a deep impact on the nation. And one of his memorable stops, the University of Santo Tomas. In memory and in honor of the Pope, UST gathered several items that the Pontiff used during his campus visit. The story from Juan Gualvez.
Upon entering the main building of UST, you will be greeted by a standee of the late Pope Francis. This is part of an exhibit showcasing the items he used when he visited the university 10 years ago. Included in the display are the papal chair, the guest book he signed, and the pen he used. You will even see the special ID worn by Pope Francis throughout the activity.
Being a pontifical university, pwede nating sabihin na si Pope ay isa ring Tomasian, kaya binigyan namin siya ng ID, di naman siya nag-object, at natuwa siya, nakita nyo naman sa picture, ginamit niya ito.
Also on display is a handwritten message of the Pope to UST saying, "May the Lord bless all those studying and working for a culture of encounter." Students who have been to the exhibit can't help but be in awe of moments captured in objects touched and made special by Francis. Dr. Lillian Season have the fondest memories of the People's Pope too. She was one of those who welcomed him in UST. Back then, she led an interreligious dialogue, one of the activities during the Holy Father's visit. She held an image of the Santo Niño that day, which Pope Francis has blessed.
When I was in front of him, actually, you get mesmerized, you know. He's such a simple guy and a modest one, and you can see the humility and compassion in him. His heart has always been for the poor, for the underprivileged, for the misunderstood, and for those who really are most in need.
Apart from Pope Francis, St. Pope John Paul II and Pope Paul VI have also visited UST. For many Filipinos, Pope Francis is an unforgettable icon. Still, during his 2015 visit, 2 children were given the honor of welcoming the Pope as he stepped off the plane. One of them is Lani.
Yung time na po nun, sobrang excited po ako kasi ayun din po yung inaabangan ng sobrang daming tao, kaya parang naging rin po ako, mas excited din po kasi lalo na mamimit ko siya. Then yung time na yun po, una ko pong ginawa is grinit ko po siya ng Spanish word na welcome, bienvenido. Yun po. Then niyakap ko po siya, hinalikan po yung singsing niya.
And just like many others, Lani was deeply saddened by the Pope's passing.
Sobrang nagulat po ako nun kasi di ko po in-expect na ganon, na patay na siya. Parang kailan lang po kasi na-meet ko siya, ganon. Hanggang ngayon po, di po ako makapaniwala na na-meet ko po siya.
The opportunity to have met the Pope became a powerful force in Lani's life as a football and futsal player.
Siya rin po yung naging inspirasyon ko sa paglalaro po. Like, nagpe-pray din po ako through his name kasi mas mabilis po, lalo na po ngayon na nasa heaven na po siya.
Tuloy Foundation was able to keep the Filipiniana Lani wore back then, along with her photo with Pope Francis. This serves as her motivation in every match, whether in football or in life.
Thankful po ako kasi alam ko po na sobrang dami niya pong nagawa dito sa mundo, sobrang dami niyang natulungan, lalo na po sa mga kabataan. Sobrang nagpapasalamat po ako sa kanya ngayon.
For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Pope Francis now lies in state at St. Peter's Basilica after his body was moved from Casa Santa Marta, his official residence for 12 years. There are long lines as expected as people pay their last respects to the pontiff. And all the way from the Vatican, Jovi Francisco reports to us live. Jovi, what's it like being in the throng of all the crowds there?
Says, good afternoon from the Vatican. So it's been 3 hours since the visitation or the public viewing of the remains of Pope Francis started here at the Basilica. But as you said, the throng or the crowd continue to find their way to the front of the Basilica, where the main entry point will lead them to the papal altar where the remains of Pope Francis can be seen or viewed. People started lining up, says, just before sunrise today. Most of them walked towards the Basilica because the major roads leading to the Vatican were already closed as early as around 12 midnight last night. Some of them lined the roads to witness a translation or the transferring of the Pope's remains from Santa Marta to the Basilica. And again, for those interested, the viewing will be allowed until Friday from 7 a.m. here in the Vatican to 12 midnight. The Pope's funeral rites will be held on Saturday with foreign leaders expected to attend. Some Filipinos were seen joining the crowd today, and here's some of the interviews or some of the conversations I had with the Filipinos who lined up for this event.
Okay. All right, well, while we're awaiting those interviews, what would you advise, Jovi, our fellow Filipinos and others who will want to pay their last respects? Anong oras dapat sila pumunta dyan?
I think if talagang ang do sa first day parang maluwag pa pero feeling ko it will get stricter and more people will be going to the square before mag Saturday. So parang ngayon medyo maluwag pa, pero sabihin natin na wag na masyado magdala ng maraming gamit dahil hindi man ganoon ka strict dun sa security choke point dito sa at least anim na openings for the people ay nakakabagal kapag masyadong maraming dapat inspection na gamit and also although it's spring weather here medyo mainit yung sikat ng araw although malamig yung hangin so parang wear comfortable shoes at saka separate clothing so at saka yun nga parang wag na magdala ng mga pwedeng ma-question ng seguridad dito sa mga choke points.
What about you? Were you able to see the Pope?
We were told that nasa in possession lang kami kanina. Sabi ng mga organizers na mag-media max lang muna lahat kami, lahat kahit yung international media. Tapos yung kulangan nandoon. Pero I think we'll be called later in about an hour para dun sa tour mismo for the media naman, as promised by the Vatican.
And Jovi, tell us about your journey on the way to the Vatican. Just like you, were there also other Catholics who immediately hopped on a plane in order to travel there to Rome, Italy, to see Pope Francis in his final moments?
Pauline, hindi ko siya naisip nung time at least doon sa first leg from Manila going to Dubai, the stopover or layover before pumunta ng Roma. Pero dito sa Roma, doon na nagkakabukuhan sa customs kasi, diba? Kapag tinanong na sila nung mga officers doon, talaga may mga nagsasabi na kaya sila pupunta dahil nga dito sa nangyari kay Pope Francis at gusto nilang ma-witness ito. So I heard a lot of, hindi lang mga Pinoy, kundi pati mga foreign tourists na yun ang sinasabi doon sa mga officials. So halata, at saka halata rin na biglang, medyo puno. Ang sinasabi nila yung Dubai to Rome from the Philippines, hindi masyado puno yun usually, pero medyo puno siya. At yun din ibang mga media na from the Philippines na alam kong nagta-travel papunta dito, medyo nahihirapan na sila.
Jovi, we now have the conversations you were mentioning earlier with our kababayans. Let's listen in.
Gusto ko lang pong magbigay ng last salute sa Papa. Sobrang lungkot po, nakakabigla. Hindi mo akalain dahil nag-last last appearance pa siya. Yung pala, nahihirapan na siya noon.
So bukod dun sa mga pila ng mga taon, mga deboto to see the Pope's bodies, meron din bang mga mass that are happening dun sa may piazza, sa harapan ng Basilica, or may schedule na ba until the funeral on Saturday?
I think may mga misa na naka-schedule na ipopost maya-maya Sean, at siguro ipopost natin sa socials natin yan later. Pero ang alam ko yung mga rosary group na nag-recite ng mga rosary na usual dito sa Vatican, sa mga malapit sa mga pillars ay tuloy lang yun. At ang magiging scenario, I think, yun nangyari na last mass kanina before yung official na pagsisimula nung viewing or public viewing or visitation na tinatawag nila. Parang ganon, magmimisa habang nandoon sa harap ng altar or the papal altar si Pope Francis. So tuloy lang yung mga misa. I think wala pa namang sinasabi na yung usual na alas 6 later ay makakancel, so baka matuloy naman.
Go ahead.
Jovi, there will be another procession when the Pope is brought to St. Mary Major Basilica. How far is it and how long is the procession expected to last?
No specifics yet. I don't know kung gaano katagal, Ses. Pero ang sinasabi lang nila na I was listening in din sa media box kami na yung kung kanina medyo mabilis kasi nasa likod lang naman yung Santa Marta na residence kung saan siya muna nakahimlay before dalhin dito. Mas malayo yung pupuntahan it's outside the Vatican City, so medyo matagal yun, Ses.
that will also be an opportunity for those who would like to bid the Pope goodbye.
To line up, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Right.
Sigurado na i-announce malamang yung ruta. So, I mean, meron ng, yung hindi na kailangan makipagsiksikan sa square, they will just go to the yung mga dadaanan ng mga, yung route o yung ruta nung procession going to the Maggiore.
Thank you so much, Jovi Francisco, reporting to us live from the Vatican.
We're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, Vice President Sara Duterte mocks the government's pilot program to sell rice at 20 pesos per kilo, questioning if such grains are even fit for human consumption. We have CNAG's Jason Cainglet weighing in on this topic. When the big story returns, keep it here.
You're watching the big story here on One News. The government seems bent on delivering President Bongbong Marcos's much-awaited campaign promise of 20 pesos per kilo rice. 3 years into the Marcos's presidency, the Department of Agriculture announced the implementation of the sale of the staple at this price point, which will be piloted in the Visayas. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel made the announcement after a closed-door meeting with the President and 12 Visayas governors at the Cebu provincial capital. Laurel says the initiative is a pilot run for a larger national rollout.
Initially, itong program ng DA was supposed to last for until December. And pwede pang stretch siya hanggang February. But our President has given the directive to the Department of Agriculture to formulate this to be sustainable and ituloy-tuloy hanggang 2028.
In an interview in Negros Oriental today, Vice President Sara Duterte cast doubts on the initiative. She questions the timing with the elections just around the corner.
Meron akong pagdududa na magbebenta sila ng 20 pesos per kilo na bigas pero hindi pang tao, pang hayop. Well, hindi ko alam kung anong motibo nila. Baka, yes, inaano na naman nila yung mga tao, binubudol na naman nila yung mga tao sa 20 pesos per kilo na bigas. At magdududa ka dahil bakit Visayas lang? Hindi ba nagugutom yung mga tiga Mindanao? Hindi ba nagugutom yung mga tiga Luzon?
May point. The Department of Agriculture is quite confident that they can roll out this 20 peso per kilo rice program nationwide. Is this really possible, and how are they going to do it? We hope to talk to the DA about this, but they begged off tonight. And to join us in this discussion is Jason Cainglet, the Executive Director of Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura, or SINA. Good evening and welcome to the big story. Well, the Vice President had a point. Why the Visayas only? If they were going to do this, why not nationwide?
We were also surprised when it was announced today. But setting aside all these assumptions, I think it's a good idea, and we do support efforts and programs that would lower rice prices. As explained by DA Secretary Kiko Laurel kanina, they would be subsidizing this. So that's the next question. How much and how sustainable would this 20 pesos be in the light that from the producer side po kasi, ang aming basis for yung presyo sa market is how much yung cost niya sa farm gate. Ibig sabihin, magkano yung gastos talaga ng mga magkasaka sa pagtatanim ng palay at magkano niya dapat itong ibinebenta na hindi siya malulugi. Definitely, pag 20 pesos yung bigas, lugi yung farmer kasi dapat maibebenta niya yung palay niya sa 10 pesos to get 20 pesos rice. But as explained, isa-subsidize to ng government and we're hoping na isa-subsidize talaga para hindi po maapektuhan yung presyo ng palay sa ating mga magsasaka.
From the press releases that we've been reading is a subsidized between the DA and the LGU. You support this?
We support in as much as it will help yung target beneficiaries na, sabi nila, poor peas, etc. Sa cost structure kasi natin, para po maintindihan yung how much the government would be subsidizing, ang farm gate po ngayon is ranging between 16 to 17 pesos per kilo, no? Fresh harvest. Ibig sabihin yan, bibilin sa magsasaka ng 16, 17 or 18, no? We're batting for 18 sana para at least may kitang ating mga farmers. Pag binili po ng miller at trader yung palay sa 18, cost to mill niya would be 33 pesos per kilo, bigas na. Yun din naman yung Rice for All program na ino-offer ng NFA sa mga LGU. So tingin natin, it's the same rice, parang doon sa tanong kanina ni VP Sara, I think it's the same NFA rice na hindi naman nabili ng LGUs. Unfortunately, hindi na binili kasi yung NFA rice is halos the same price na rin ng mga freshly milled palay ngayon dahil nga mababa yung nakuhang farm gate sa ating mga farmers. So yung bigas sa wholesale is 33. So if it is 33 po and they will sell at 20, ibig sabihin government would be subsidizing between 13 to 15 pesos per kilo. So yun po yung tanong natin, how sustainable siya, gaano kalaki yung budget. But essentially, we support it kung kaya naman talagang pondohan ng national government para makapagbenta sila ng murang bigas.
But Jason, yung quality nitong bigas na ibebenta ng 20 pesos per kilo, what do we know about this? Kasi sinabi nga ni Vice President Sara Duterte, hindi daw pang tao kundi pang hayop daw. Is this really not fit for human consumption?
Siguro yung NFA rice kasi na binibenta is aging. Pero hindi naman siya not fit for human consumption. Kaya nga hindi siya nabili ng LGUs the past weeks kasi yung mga LGUs, they'd rather buy yung mga freshly milled rice. Ibig sabihin, for the same price, bakit ka kukuha ng aging stocks, meron ka naman makukuha freshly milled at talagang better quality. Pero I think hindi naman siya usapin ng not fit. I think they're fit. It's just that these are aging stocks ng NFA.
Okay, Mr. Kaininglet, matagal ko na kayo gustong makausap para maitanong ko to sa inyo. Nagkaroon na, medyo politicized yung rice, alam na natin yun. And recently nga, si Palace Press Officer Castro, sinasabi nga niya, kumbaga, basically, I guess what I wanna ask is, what do you think about the rice tarification law? Kasi ang sinasabi niya, ito daw talaga yung evil, kung bakit daw naging mataas yung presyo ng rice, no? In your opinion, ngayon na aamyendahan siya, ano yung mas magandang, kumbaga, version? Yung dati or yung bago?
Yeah. Palagay ko maraming confusion doon sa rice tarification law. Kami, for one, we're supporting it only because farmers would be getting 20 billion indirect support kasi po yung lahat ng tariff collection mo sa imported rice would go directly sa rice farmers. But anyway, it's a totally different topic. We would be needing an hour to discuss that. Ang sinasabi lang natin, talaga pong mahal kasi yung bigas last year because dahil nga mayroong export ba ng India, may competition ng Vietnam and Thailand, sumipa po yung bigas global market at $620 per metric tons. Ngayon po, bumagsak siya down to $380 per metric tons. Ibig sabihin, kung dati-rate landed cost is 38, 37 pesos, ibig sabihin, nandito na po sa atin yun, nagbayad na ng taripa. Ngayon po, ang imported rice, makukuha natin landed cost sa 26. Ibig sabihin, at 31, may papasa na rin ng importers yung bigas sa 31, 32 pesos, ready for consumption na siya ng mga retailers. Kaya tama yung sinasabi po ni Sec Laurel kanina, talagang mura ang bigas ngayon globally. Kaya yung subsidy niya ngayon sa 20 pesos, mas maliit as compared kung pinlano niya a year ago. So siguro yung timing pwedeng questionin, pero ngayon po kasi talaga yung panahon na mura yung bigas globally. Kaya kayang isubsidize ng gobyerno. Pero sabi nga natin, lagi pong may two sides ng coin. Sana naman yung pag-subsidize niya, wag sa expense ng farmers na pilitin yung millers or traders na bumili below 15 pesos per kilo. Ang request lang namin sa DA, sana ma-maintain yung 17-18 na farm gate price ng palay para naman po kumita naman ang ating mga farmers habang nakikinabang po yung consumers sa murang bigas.
And to your point, Mr. Kainglet, ano ba dapat yung presyo? Since mababa na nga yung presyo sa merkado, na-lift na yung mga export ban, what is a fair market price? We know there's an MSRP na 45 na umiiral ngayon, but is that still a fair amount?
Kami since December, sabi namin 40 to 45 is fair enough. Kasi po pag bumaba pa siya sa 40, ibig sabihin 35 halimbawa, ibig sabihin yung mga farmers babaratin siya to sell at 16 or 15. So kami, 35 or 40, I think 40 is fair sa ngayon para naman po makabenta ng mas malaki ang farmer. Ang danger po kasi pag binabawa pa sa 35 yung bigas, talagang wala na pong kikitain ating mga farmer kasi ang cost to produce ng palay is 14-15 pesos. So kung hindi mo magbebenta yung palay mo sa 14-15 at much lower pa, talaga pong medyo dehado po ang ating mga magsasaka. Sana po 40 is okay para mabili yung fresh na palay at 18.
Do you have an estimate as to magkano ang subsidy na ito? How much it will cost the government?
Ang sinabi nila kanina is 4.5 billion. So if you compute 4.5 billion, divide by yung subsidy mo na 15 pesos, ibig sabihin, they're getting, makakakuha sila ng 300 million kilos na bigas or 300,000 metric tons, which is equivalent to 9 days. Yung 9 days na yun, pag tinignan mo, actually, yun din yung buffer stock ng NFA. So ang tingin namin sa ngayon, talagang gusto lang ubusin ng DA at ng government yung NFA aging stocks at makinabang naman yung consumer. 9 days out of 365 days, ibig sabihin po, this is merely 2 to 3% ng consumption or demand mo sa buong taon. So hindi siya, kumbaga, hindi siya malaking intervention, pero kung yung target beneficiary mo naman talaga makikinabang, palagay ko po, malaking bagay pa rin siya.
Kung kaya nga gawin ng gobyerno pala to para tulungan ng mga magsasaka, bakit ngayon lang kung kailan, alam mo na, eleksyon, baka naman din hindi magtagal? Ano ba yung mga agam-agam ninyo? What are your worries? Baka hanggang may ano lang.
And it comes a week after the President's trust and approval ratings declined, no? So may kinalaman kaya ito doon?
Sabi nyo nga, rice is political commodity. It's a political issue. Yung presyo ng bigas can make or unmake a government. Historical po sa atin yan, pag mahal ang bigas, talagang nagiging barometro. And last year, if you remember, inimpose yung tariff reduction sa bigas precisely because ang tingin ng economic managers, yun yung nagpababa ng rating ng Pangulo, which we oppose. Kasi sabi natin, hindi naman dapat tariff reduction ng solusyon if we want to lower rice prices, which is happening naman po right now. So, balancing pa, sa akin, it's really political. Kung mapababa na yung presyo ng bigas at may impact sa consumers, so be it. Ang sa atin lang po, basta makinabang talaga yung mga intended beneficiaries, malaking bagay na po yun.
Hindi kayo kinausap ng DA tungkol dito, moving forward?
Hindi po, kasi ang sabi natin sa DA, ang long-term solution mo talaga to lower rice prices is mapababa mo yung cost of producing palay.
Yes, of course.
Kung napababa mo yung cost of producing palay and you increase yung yield niya, unfortunately, tayo po ang yield natin is just 4.2 metric tons per hectare, which is low. Ang Thailand is 5, ang Vietnam is 5.5. May increase mo lang po yung productivity mo to 5,000 metric tons per hectare at mapababa mo yung cost to produce mo ng 12-11 pesos. Yun po yung automatic na magpapababa ng presyo without resorting to this MSRP o yung subsidy. Kasi nga po yung subsidy, hanggang saan lang yung 4.5 billion. Kung gusto mo masustain yan, ibig sabihin, you would have to shell out 4.5 billion on a monthly basis.
Every 9 days.
Kasi 9 days lang yun eh. So monthly basis gawin mo para at least you get a third of the supply na subsidized, which is good kung kaya. Pero yun nga po, ang tanong natin, kaya ba ng gobyerno i-sustain na maglabas siya ng 4.5 billion monthly para makabenta siya ng 20 pesos kilo po na bigas?
So, I guess panghuling tanong from me, Mr. Kainglet, itong 20 pesos kada kilo ng bigas, posible pa ba ito? Taking into consideration, syempre, yung production outlook natin for the year, tanong ko na rin sa inyo kung ano ba yung outlook nyo? Is it gonna be better than last year?
Yung production outlook po maganda ngayon kasi kahit ang pag-asa, ang tingin, neutral, walang La Nina, walang El Nino. So, Yung weather po malaking factor sa palay production, maganda siya. Yung tanong natin kung masusustain, depende po kung ano yung, kumbaga, yung financial capacity ng gobyerno. If they can sustain that, na meron kang intended beneficiary. At sana nga po, yung budget mo na 4.5 billion, talagang makinabang yung intended beneficiaries. Ang problema natin pag napolitika, baka hindi naman yun ang talagang makinabang. Pero we're hoping na talagang meron silang listahan, may logistics, may mechanism para yung sinasabi nilang vulnerable sectors ang talagang makinabang po sa 20 pesos per kilo na bigas.
And after Visayas, Jason, in your opinion, which region do you think dapat i-roll out itong 20 pesos per kilo na bigas?
Sa atin dapat nationwide, pero kung ang sila ay merong intended beneficiaries, may listahan po ang DSWD, may listahan ng DA. Hindi na tama rin si VP Sara, hindi lang naman Visayas na nangangailangan ng murang bigas, buong Pilipinas yan. As long as it's targeted, palagay ko meron sa Luzon, meron sa Mindanao, lalo na sa NCR, talagang nandito po yung kumbaga nag-congregate sa NCR yung talagang vulnerable sectors. Yun po sana ang mabigyan ng 20 pesos na presyo ng bigas sa ito pong card program ng DA.
Okay, maraming salamat. Thank you for talking to us, Jason Cainglet, Executive Director of Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura.
Now, moving on to another story, the Supreme Court has issued a public warning against fake court notices and orders being spread on social media. According to Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, scammers have been using his name to intimidate and extort money from the public. The Supreme Court has received numerous complaints about fraudulent court orders and individuals impersonating court employees, saying the scammers demand payment from victims to settle pending court cases. The Chief Justice clarified that courts would never do such a thing. Currently, the High Court is coordinating with the NBI and PNP to identify those behind these fake court orders.
Huwag kayong basta-basta maniniwala sa mga notisya o subpina na natatanggap nyo o nakikita nyo sa social media posting na kayo ay inutusang pumunta sa hukuman para magpaliwanag sa kung anumang bagay. Siguraduhin nyo na ang notisya ay totoo at tama. Magberipika kayo sa korte, maging mapagsuri at mag-ingat tayo palagi para hindi tayo mabiktima ng mga kalokohang ito.
We're going to pause for another quick breather, but when we return, the COMELEC is keeping an eye out for hackers and candidates buying votes, with just less than 3 weeks to go before the midterm polls. We are going to be talking to the poll body spokesperson, Attorney Rex Laudianco, next. Keep it here.
The big story is back with COMELEC Committee on Contra Bigay tightening its watch on alleged vote buying. It's asking more candidates to explain questionable campaign activities. Among those called to explain is senatorial candidate Camille Villar. She was seen on stage with a female winner holding a cash prize. The video was posted on social media last February 16. She has since denied vote buying, stressing the event happened prior to the campaign period. Other candidates issued a show cause order where Oriental Mindoro mayoral candidate Ernilo Villas and his wife vice mayoral candidate Edna Villas also asked to explain where Nueva Ecija Representative Emerson Pascual and Palawan congressional candidate Abraham Mitra.
Well, the COMELEC's updated voter precinct finder is now online. It now includes information on newly registered voters and has removed those with deactivated accounts. So if you haven't voted in the last elections and haven't renewed your voter registration, or you just want to make sure you're registered and find out where you will be voting come the midterm elections, you should check it out. So ladies, I want to try and see if we are registered. We will be trying this real time. So voters can check this on precinctfinder.comelec.gov.ph on your browser. I have it here, and it will be leading you to this page. So i-check natin, precinctfinder.comelec.gov.ph. Once you're there, you have to key in your location, so that's either local or overseas. It's a really straightforward form, as you can see here
I'm trying.
on the screen. So once you're done, it will lead you to this page. So for us here in the Philippines, syempre local yung pipindutin natin. No? You have to key in your first name. So if you have 2 first names, you have to include that, make sure it's complete. And you need to enter your middle name, your last name, your suffix if you have one, your date of birth.
Okay,
and the date of birth format will follow this format. It's a month, day, and year. Yan. So if your birthday, let's say, is January 1, 2001, you will be indicating here, no, 01/01/2001. That's the format you will be following. After that, you will just also place your registration area. And what's helpful here is meron ng option. So kikiclick nyo na lang po kung ano yung inyong area of registration. So a sample of that is your province. So pwede dyan ang NCR 3rd District, 2nd District. If you're from Quezon City, that's NCR 2nd District. And following that, you just also have to put your city. So Quezon City. Ito, I'm trying this real time. Again, this will help voters find their precinct area where they will be voting so as to avoid confusion when come May 12, come the midterm elections. So after entering your personal information, you just need to tick verify and press search. So Ms. Cez, have you able to?
No.
Did you see your?
my internet is kind of not
Yeah,
working.
mine too.
Okay, so
I can't do it.
I did this prior to this segment.
Yeah.
Para instant
Okay.
na yung result, ano? So here, I was able to find.
Okay.
Okay,
But
so
you know, this is not a new thing. Usually before the elections,
Yeah.
nilalabas naman to ng COMELEC. And I have gotten it to work. I guess my internet connection is just not so great in here.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
now
it works naman.
I'm just slow.
It's
I
just
have to
slow, but
type
I
in
see
all
that
the mga-
Cez is way
Yeah.
ahead of me. She's filling out the fields.
Okay, so here's an example. This is correct, no? So my place of registration is NCR 2nd District, so that's in Quezon City. And my polling place is Don Alejandro Roses Science and Technology Public School. So that's where we usually vote, and I have here
baka
my
ma-stalk
precinct
ka
number.
dyan.
May ibang gumamit ng ano.
Marami namang marami namang kasama.
Kidding,
Nakaboto
kidding.
doon.
That's right.
Pero ngayon alam ko na saan ka nakatira. More or less, the
Well,
vicinity.
So, yeah, so that's very helpful, I guess, for voters who still are a bit confused, ano, but like what you said, Sean, nandiyan naman yan every election.
Every election
Yeah.
andyan.
Pero, if you don't find your name, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't, you're not registered. Does it?
Well, I've never not found my name. So I guess we just have to post that question to our
next
All right, yeah. Let's bring into this discussion COMELEC spokesperson, Attorney Lex Laudianco. Attorney, magandang gabi po sa inyo. Thank you for joining us.
Magandang gabi po, Ma'am Cez, Ma'am Son, at sa lahat po ng ating viewers. Good evening po.
Okay, may issue earlier sa online precinct finder na may nakalagay na connection timed out. Glitch po ba to o paano?
No, it's not a glitch po, Ma'am Cez, Ma'am Son, and Ma'am Pauline. Kaninang umaga po nangyari yan nung unang buhos po ng ating mga nagsusearch. Medyo napakarami po talaga. At ang explanation po sa amin, mukhang sinread ng defense ng sistema na parang ito distributed denial of service o yung DDoS. Kaya po tina-time out sila. Pero na-increase naman po ng ating web host, ang DICT, yung capacity, at mula po nung nagkaroon ng adjustment, wala na pong nangyaring timeout. So dependent na lang po sa lakas ng internet connection. Pero gaya nga po ng naipakita nyo ngayon, kung maayos ang internet connection, kung tama po ang pag-input ng lahat ng necessary information tulad ng first name, last name, middle name, at na-pull down po ng maayos yung place of registration na identify, ay magtutugma po lahat ng information. So pag tumama po lahat yan, ang mangyayari, papakita ang inyong pangalan, ang inyong address, ang inyong voting center in school, pati na rin po yung presinto. At lastly, yung status. Kung active po nakalagay dyan, walang problema, kayo po ay botante. Kung deactivated, ibig sabihin na deactivate kayo dahil hindi kayo nakaboto ng 2 beses o higit pa. Pag no record naman po ang lumabas, hindi naman automatic kagad na hindi kayo rehistrado. Maari pong nagkamali sa pag-i-input ng pangalan. Kaya nga po ito paulit-ulit namin paalala. Kung Maria ang nilagay ninyo, M-A-R-I-A sa inyong pagre-rehistro. At ngayon nung kayo nag-i-input, ang nilagay nyo lang ay M-A. Iyan po, magno-no record kayo dyan. So kailangan pong alalahanin maigi kung paano po niya naisulat ang pangalan ninyo nung kayo'y nag-rehistro. And lastly, kung ang lumabas naman po ay multiple records, ibig sabihin lamang po na kayo ay maraming beses nagparehistro o kaya hindi na-delete yung old records nyo. At yan po ay kasamang nilinisin ng COMELEC.
Pero paano yun? Paano yung steps? Kunwari, tinignan ko, no? Let's say nawala yung Enye from a name or yun nga, yung Maria naging M.A. Or kung nawawala ka, may way pa ba na repasuhin bago yung election, attorney?
Hindi naman po repasuhin pero maraming pamamaraan para malaman po ang status. Ang Precinct Finder po ay isang pamamaraan lang. May primary mode po tayo, yung voter information sheet na dapat matanggap ng lahat ng botante. Ito po, bago matapos ang Abril. Kung hindi pa po niyo natatanggap ang inyong VIS, ay makipag-usap lamang po sa aming election officer dahil dapat matanggap niyan. Ano ang nandun sa 4 na pahinang VIS? Una po, pangalan, address, yung voting center at yung cluster precinct. Ikalawa, nandun din po yung 6 na pamaraan o hakbang sa pagboto with MCM. Ikatlo, nandun yung pamamaraan ng pag-save ng balota at yung pinaka-importante, pinaka-anim, nandun po yung listahan ng lahat ng kandidato, may sample ballot na po doon na maaaring nang gamitin para po pagdala sa paaralan pag kayo boboto na. May ikatlong pamamaraan pa po, pwedeng dumirekta sa aming election officer para inquire na lahat ng detalyeng ito. May ika-4 pa, pagpunta niyo po sa paaralan bago maghalalan o mismong araw ng halalan, merong voters assistance desk na ang tumatao po dito ay PPCRV at COMELEC. Nandun po, pwede nyo makita ang pangalan, pati ang presinto, pati ang room number. At yung ikalimang pamamaraan po, mismong sa araw ng halalan sa labas ng presinto, nandun po yung ating election day computerized voters list, pangalan at lahat ng details. Ito po maganda doon. May picture po natin. So hindi makakalusot yung mga magtatangkang flying voter dahil hawak ng picture, hindi lang ang pangalan, address, kundi ang picture. So hindi na po lulusot yung flying voters natin.
Better before election day para hindi ka
nagpapanik tsaka sumusungit kasi parang feeling mo na disenfranchise ka, di ba?
Di ba po?
Attorney Rex,
po.
Apparently, noong 2022, there was 35 million hacking attempts sa online precinct finder. Ngayong 2025, ano po ba ang naitala? Meron pa rin bang ganyan karaming hacking attempts dito sa online precinct finder?
Actually, ma'am, it's 38 million plus. At inaasahan din po namin na mas tataas pa. Ngayon pa nga lang po, kaninang umaga pa lang, meron na po mga attempts. Kaya nga po lumabas yung timeout session at nag-increase pa po ang ating DICT ng capacity. Nakikiusap po kami sa ating mga magagaling na mga nag-hack. Hindi niyo po kailangan i-hack. Ito po ay para sa ating mga kababayan. Tulong po ito ng COMELEC para malaman po natin saan tayo boboto. Sana man naman po, huwag niyong ipagkait ang serbisyong ito dahil ang pahihirapan po natin ay kapwa kababayan natin. Kung ang intensyon niyo po ay subukin ang depensa ng sistema, pwede naman po kayo makipag-coordinate sa DICT na web host ng COMELEC para kung yun lamang po ang ating sinusubok.
Pero nagkaroon kasi rin, no, a few elections ago, nagkaroon ng mga parang threats or hacking threats sa mismong COMELEC nga. This contains, syempre, voter information. Tapos after natin magkaroon ng biometrics, attorney, syempre maraming napraning kasi may fingerprint, may signature, may picture pa. Did the COMELEC take any extra special steps for cybersecurity for the midterm elections?
Yes, ma'am. It led to the creation of the COMELEC Cybersecurity Division. Una pong ginawa natin na nag-training tayo ng personnel, nag-harden po tayo ng facilities, at higit po sa lahat, na-implement po natin ever since yung plano na nakadetect po yung lahat ng voter information data. Kaya yung ating biometrics, wala po yan online. Ang nandito lang po sa Precinct Finder, yung itinatakda ng batas, sapat na information para malaman mo kung saan yung kakaboboto. In fact, yung nakita po natin display na yan, ay parehong-pareho po ng information na nakapaskil sa paaralan na nire-require po ng batas. Wala po dyan ang ating biometrics at iba pang datos na nakahiwalay po at hindi online at wala sa server na yan.
All right, we thank you so much for your time, COMELEC spokesperson, Attorney Rex Laudianco.
Gumagana na yung akin.
Okay, could you find your precinct?
Gumagana na siya. Nag-spotty lang talaga yung internet. Pero I think wala na tong problema, no? Tingnan natin. City of...
Ako mamaya-maya.
Yan.
Kasi kailangan na natin magpaalam, Sean.
Yes,
Magpaalam
kailangan natin paalam. So that's it for the show tonight. Again, marami pang time, 19 days to go. Better prepare kung wala yung pangalan niyo sa precinct finder.
Right.
So that's it for the big story tonight.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
Thank you for watching. Good night.